Hi friends, I'm Meliora. Welcome to my channel. Heavily anticipated video by at least one subscriber who asked me to show my monthly favorites or maybe more almost like seasonal favorites, and I was so happy to oblige because I was kind of thinking already of how to incorporate so many interests of mine into the weave of the perfume channel that I have, because as you know, I am now probably we should call it a low buy year because a no buy year only lasted roughly 5 months and then I kind of like caved. So now I'm trying to kind of in a healthy, self-compassionate way reinstall some of the most healthiest rules of how I interact with beautiful objects, things, my aesthetic need for diversity and things like that. Anyway, there definitely were a few trends in my life that I really wanted to share with you because I think they're pretty cool. So we're going to be talking about spring overall because I think it will give us a little bit more of a kind of depth and kind of like tried, tested, tried and true kind of favorites. So I'll start with one kind of what to read favorite. A lot of people are trying to get into reading. I think it's like a perpetual kind of like fantasy self thing. Like most people want to think of themselves as like avid readers, and yet we rarely really do that. My absolute favorite overall is Audible in a variety of accessible libraries. I can't wait until the libraries are open in Florida so I can finally get my library card, because I still have my Palo Alto library card and I use the apps online. You just register your library card and you can download ebooks, movies, podcasts, so many things that would cost money to buy, and certain books that I really want to kind of come back to every once in a while. Those I usually acquire through Audible using my credits, or sometimes they have sales where you can buy a fairly good or even like rare audiobooks for roughly under $8. So every once in a while, like there are like different places where I find the nuggets, but audiobooks is my definitely absolute favorite. And every once in a while I get into audiobooks so heavily that I kind of like almost cease to do anything else. I don't watch movies, I don't watch shows. I just like stop doing whatever I was doing and just get obsessed with audiobooks. Right now it's a bit of a dry season for me. Like I somehow just got out of it. And again, the moving, the quarantine, and some of the really stressful events that are happening with me right now are kind of messing with my sense of order and my sense of harmonic scheduling. Like I really do like schedule, but I want it to be flexible enough just so that every day has a variety of things. So audiobooks, I really crave them. I want them back in my life because they really gave me that both entertaining, nourishing, thought-provoking, creativity-inspiring, and soothing presence through my day. When it comes to the printed books, this is one of the activities I honestly could not even kind of afford emotionally and visually when I was full-time employed. Right now I'm self-employed, so to speak. And only when I actually left my full-time employment fairly recently that I started craving reading, because my days, like I'm like a white-collar worker, so I would spend 10 to 12 hours in front of a computer. I would read, write a lot, but mostly it was like a work-related or technical communication. And when I would come home, I just could not read or look at any other screens or even pages any longer. My eyes would just be exhausted. That's how I got into audiobooks to begin with, because they really helped me to remain somewhat active, at least take a long walk, and yet kind of like still have some content and some interesting material that I was listening to and processing. So now that I have way more time, my eyes are resting. Like it's like night and day, to be honest, for my health. Not looking at the computer screen 10 hours a day. I actually got a bunch of perfume books because I'm trying to get a more kind of refresh my memory of some that I've dipped in and out before, and kind of get a better sense of what's happening with the perfume world on kind of like the printed page scale, because it's very common. I don't know if you've ever tried to look for perfume books. It's very common for anybody who is into perfumery or a professional in the world to say, oh, there are like such a dearth of good books on perfumery in the world. And it's kind of like this sentiment is, I believe, is a myth. There are like hundreds of perfume books. They are just not really read by anyone, and they're not very famous. So I decided to kind of like sample and see like what is it? What is it to this myth about that there's nothing to read about perfumes, and yet you start searching and you find a lot of books. Some of them are fictional, semi-fictional, memoirs, this and that, all kinds of books. So I'm kind of like doing my research right now. If you're curious to learn more, if you like kind of want me to give you a few kind of reviews and quick recommendations, well, I'll try to be as quick. This is still an intro, right? Yeah, so maybe not quick, but maybe thorough and very thoughtful. My thoughts on the perfume literature, that could be another video. But one of the books that I really was easy to get into, and the one that I can recommend at least for the entertainment value of it, is the Perfume Lover. I think roughly through, yeah, I think like I'm roughly 45% in. This is The Perfume Lover, A Personal History of Scent by Denise Bellew. You see, like with names that contain 3x amount of vowels compared to consonants, I never really know how to pronounce them. So Denise is a Canadian journalist. She is dabbed in different forms of journalism, but she professionally made her money from a number of genres, including erotic fiction, and oddly enough, together with erotic fiction, she decided to combine her professional aspirations with the perfume journalism that she's been doing. She was very serious about learning about olfactory world, both professional, poetic, and industrial and business-like. So she combined basically everything she learned, all the people she talked to, with her own kind of Cinderella story, how she got to know a very famous perfumer. I don't want to spoil it for you, but like you can easily find the spoilers online if you want to. She, through her journalistic career, became acquainted with very, very famous, like the master, one of the masters of perfumery, who's still alive, and he agreed to co-create a scent with her. I think this is basically like a wet dream of every perfume reviewer, blogger, or enthusiast, to collaborate with a master to create a perfume with them that's based on the story or your preferences or anything. So this is your Cinderella story. Beautifully written, exquisite use of language. The only thing that I personally don't like about the Perfume Lover book is, oddly enough, which is like a third of the book, is the erotica stuff. Man, that stuff is cheesy. It's like, I haven't read 50 Shades of Grey, but I imagine that's what, like, you know, grandma's porn should look like, because it's both very self-congratulatory, cheesy, and a bit annoying. But this is a matter of personal taste. Nevertheless, as much as I'm not a fan of these kind of like groans and moans of somebody pulling somebody's lingerie, oh goodness. And again, it's a whether you like these kind of scenery, it's up to you. Some people probably find it absolutely ingenious. I find it to be masterful, at least in the sense that it masterfully weaves in different storylines and makes this book entertaining. A lot of perfume books that I at least attempted to read, I'm not through all of them, so again we can talk about it at some other time, but a lot of them suffer from being either too dry or technical without being educational. This is like the worst part, when somebody tries to explain to you the technology of some process and they're doing a particularly bad job, just like showering you with a dictionary of terms rather than really explaining how the process works. So this weaving of personal stories, her like dream come true, this friendship that blossomed into a collaboration on actually a fairly well-known niche scent. Again, you can discover all of that, the making of the perfumes, the history, the literature, the world itself of olfactory journalism, of perfumers, of marketing agents, of like all of that stuff, everything plus the erotica, if you're into that kind of stuff. It kind of like, I guess the good part about the erotica in here is that it gives you a bit of a break, right? Like it kind of like takes your mind off a very dense discussion of some history of certain ingredient or a certain marketing ploy or certain devastating trends that were happening in the mass market of fragrances in 20th century. So like it kind of makes it all palatable, it makes it chewable in a way. Anyway, really enjoying this book with certain conditionally enjoying this book. Highly recommend. You can buy it really cheap secondhand. So Perfume Lover, that's a definite favorite of the spring. And when it comes to makeup, we're just gonna jump around, so like we're not all totally condensed on the perfumes, because again the request was just to show all the favorites, all the things that kind of gave me this sense of beauty of life. To keep it light, we're gonna switch from the sort of the subjects of perfumes to beauty. Since the request was to show all of the things that kind of gave me this thrill of life, you know, just make me feel kind of putting me in the right mood when I needed it, a few super duper favorites. First of all, I rediscovered Lorac eyeshadows, I think, yeah, in 2020. We all heard of them, they had their moment of fame and that kind of like dissipated. There are so many other ultra luxe, very expensive releases, big Natasha Denona, this and that. By the way, like before I really started venturing into depth of perfume world, I've been a nail blogger, I've done blogging for makeup, I've even done like a cool consulting on the product development. So like I am into all things beauty and fashion. So this is like, I'm no novice to that, but I just wanted to like give you like my short like 20 cents. Lorac are probably my favorite eyeshadows per like what value you get per price. First of all, they have super wearable, so you see like this is like, I cleaned it before I showed you, but it's such a beaten palette. You can almost always get them 50% off. So you're paying maybe $24 to $30 for a palette that has a really wide variety of satins, shimmers, and mattes. I love their mattes, I love their shimmers. I do enjoy every once in a while duochrome metallic eyeshadows, and we'll talk about my favorites in that category just in a minute. But when it comes to actually creating the basis of any makeup, this is what I live for. These are, like, I think this is number 3. This is the white one, at least. Yeah, Mega Pro 3. And I do own probably 4 Mega Pro Lorac eyeshadow palettes that I got from Mercari. All of them were lightly used or unused completely, and I think I got them between $15 to $20. I absolutely love this stuff. I honestly don't care for any other palettes when it comes to creating the basis of my makeup. So the Lorac eyeshadows, just by a long margin, quality per buck, especially given the secondary market, the best stuff ever. I find that even like ColourPop eyeshadows, I have a few palettes, but like hit and miss. But like with Lorac, it's just such a reliable, these are like workhorses of eyeshadows. And yeah, and I like how sleek they are, that they have a really good mirror. Basically everything about these eyeshadow palettes to me is like, this is the golden standard of eyeshadows. But if you're looking for something extra, here I have like a few recommendations. Also tried and true, I really like Stila iridescent, I think these are iridescent toppers. They look white, but this is basically a kind of like gel base or like alcohol-based base, in which there are like a bunch of iridescent flakies. I have one that has kind of like purple to blue to pink reflect, which is called Fuchsia Fiction. I think I bought it on some crazy steal sale for $7. You can also find them in Marshalls, TJ Maxx, and other online outlets for roughly between $7 to, I would say, $10 a piece, which I think is a really good price for them, as long as they're not dried up. And the second one that I have is, this is between pink, teal, and green, the kind of flakes, and this is Mint Myth, and I also have it on my bottom lid. I usually just use them as toppers or put them in the inner corner. They are not they cannot really, at least for me, they don't really work as eyeshadows, but they work beautifully as toppers. And to be honest, so far, if I'm trying to be like super duper honest, if I really want that little bling, just like throw a little bit over the accent of iridescent shine, these are still better than the pressed duochrome, holographic, and glitter eyeshadows. The liquid ones still, like somehow the particles and how they put them in these solutions still kind of create more punch and sparkle, at least in my experience, than the pressed eyeshadows. So when it comes to metallics and shimmers, I have these magnetic palette by ColourPop, where I have a variety of ColourPop metallics and duochromes. And these three I really want to talk about in a separate video because this is very new to me. This is JD Glow Galaxy. They are not all created equal, oddly enough, so if you're curious to know which ones are my absolute favorites from JD Glow and which ones are in my wish list and I'm desperate for them to restock, let me know in the comments below and we'll talk about it in another video. Overall, I usually prefer single eyeshadows for special effects because paying for Pat McGrath or Natasha Denona again, or even Melt, they usually put one or two, or Tom Ford to that matter, there in the palettes they literally put one or two shadows that really create all that textural interest, and everything else I have like 1,000 times over in the other palettes. So when it comes to my formula to how I like to curate my makeup collection and my makeup looks, I want to have workhorse palettes, the ones that just I can do anything with, like the whole spectrum of super neutral, shimmery, satin, light, dark, smoky eye, cat eye, anything. And for me, these are the Lorac Pro palettes. I basically want all of them. If any of you have some Lorac eyeshadows that you really would like to donate to a friendly blogger, I'll be very grateful. And when it comes to accents and kind of colorful accents, I usually go for singles because this allows me, first of all, it minimizes space, so I don't have, like, each of these eyeshadows could easily be part of some extra palette, be it Anastasia Beverly Hills, or again Pat McGrath, or you name it, right? Natasha Denona, Huda, you name it. And instead of having 15 palettes, each held on only for the sake of that one special iridescent eyeshadow, I just have one and I have all of the special effects in one place. Alright, when it comes to the tools, I am absolute fan of cheap but densely packed brushes. Like this is, I think I brought from Russia, this is Rive Gauche, which is a really big, like a Sephora-like chain of stores. Like you can find these anywhere. I really like this. Look how big this is. It's slanted, this is super dense, and you can apply anything with brushes like that. It's like so easy to apply powder foundation, liquid foundation, you name it. And I actually did have a few brushes that are kind of like Artiste-like, you know, those like paddle brushes. It's like one-time use because then you have to wash them all the time. These kind of guys, they actually take a lot of beating before you have to wash them. And when it comes to eyeshadow brushes, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. Meanwhile, this is my like top. These are the top brushes, very specific ones though. This is a set by Real Techniques, and this is called, I think, Pop Eyeshadow Duo. What's so ingenious about these particular brushes is that they are finger-like. So they have, I don't know if you can see it, they have like a finger-like slanted shape, and they're again very densely packed. One is smaller, another is bigger. This is the closest I got, like with sort of, you know, applying eyeshadows using your finger with the benefits of the brush blending. Absolutely genius. I have 2 sets. I want basically 10 of them. I want all my brushes to be this, because I can apply any eyeshadow with it. It blends super smoothly, applies glitter. Well, probably for glitter I would still go for a finger type of application, but like for anything else I can think of, these duo is just like a powerhouse. Absolutely love them. And when it comes to, well, let's talk about lips for a change. The only matte lipsticks, and actually one of them is on my lips right now, is that I can tolerate is Buxom. These are oldies but goodies. I think they are called Big and Healthy Lipstick. These are like pens, right? You basically roll them out. I have a soft rosy nude, and I have kind of this milky pale red. So they're giving you a little bit of this menthol kind of like minty, a little bit prickly feeling, but it's very mild. For example, I cannot really wear Buxom lip glosses or like liquid lips because they're burning my lips too much. This is not the case, so it just gives you this a little bit of a cooling effect, but it's so light. And given how matte they are, they don't really crack my lips, they don't move, they are perfect base for any lip gloss or even any other lipstick. Basically, there's a little bit of elasticity on when these crayons set, that it kind of, you can wear it as this kind of matte but not overly dry texture on your lips, or you can use it as a base for any other effects that you can put on your lips. Absolutely love them. You can find them in the outlets every once in a while for a really good price. I think full price they're about $24, and I would say actually worth the price. For a half price, as I think I saw one in TJ Maxx for like $9. Oh, that's a steal. So these are my absolute favorite matte lipsticks, and I usually just draw the whole lip, and basically when you use these ones, the Buxoms, you don't really need a lip liner because they kind of combine both in them, and that's what I really love. So you can draw any shape or anywhere you want, though I wouldn't really recommend overdrawing your lips because you can still tell when the person does it, and you can see little like puffy hair sticking out of their lipstick. Not a sexy look, just saying. So we're given our lips in all of their glory and sizes for a reason, but if you really want something that doesn't budge, that gives you a little bit of minty kind of coolness and yet looks very elegant and like kind of high fashion semi-matte look, Buxoms. Like, again, you won't hear bloggers talking about them because this is not a new product. Bloggers mostly only talk about new products because that's the kind of PR and the sponsorships they get. But I miss the old beauty YouTube when people actually talked about their tried and true favorites. For me, these are definitely the tried and true, the only matte lipsticks that I'll tolerate. When it comes to face stuff, to be honest, not that many super favorites. Nothing in terms of powder. I kind of like, they come and go, but there is a must-have that I have. You see, like, you can't even recognize what's the make of it. This is Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer. They repackaged it twice at this point, and I'm like fearful that they'll discontinue it in favor of some other new and fancy release, because this is my like a decade of favorites. I just do not buy other concealers ever. I mean, if I do buy them, I usually give them away eventually, and I only stick with this. This is a super dense, super pigmented kind of paste. a very viscous, dense paste. You really need, like, I usually put it on the hand because if you put it straight on your face, there will be too much, I guarantee you. It's very viscous, it's very pigmented, so you put it on your hand, I kind of dab, 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 and I apply it. Again, we can talk about my tips and tricks in terms of makeup application later, especially if you're interested in for aging skin, skin with kind of natural folds. We can talk about it later, but Tarte Maracuja Creaseless Concealer, best. And when it comes to SPF friendly foundation, so far this is the best. I haven't found anything better, and I'm absolutely out of it, so I'll have to cut it and kind of try to scrape whatever is left. This is It Cosmetics CC Cream 50 Plus SPF. Really works well for normal and dry skin. For super oily skin, this might not really stick to your skin. You will need something with a little bit more grip. So I would recommend it for normal and dry skin. I absolutely love it. And this is more of a trend than a product. I adore jewel tone, glittery, iridescent, rich, dark eyeliners. Absolute favorite. I just have a bunch here, and if you have any recommendations, I'm always on the lookout for the next best, be it in the kind of pot, in the jar, or in the pencil form. If you know of any super duper amazing sparkly eyeliners, please let me know. And my favorite mascara, year over year, again, not a new product, nobody talks about it, yet it's one of the best for its price. This is just limited edition packaging. This is Tarte Lights Camera Lashes. What's so amazing about this mascara is that it kind of like has at least 3 distinct uses. It's a beautiful everyday mascara for people who have lashes. Not my case, unfortunately. But if you already have like normal lashes, you know, nothing to complain about. This one separates them, gives them volume and a little bit of length, but leaves them pleasant to touch. We all know about the mascaras, just that they just make, like, you can break your eyelashes after you apply certain mascaras. These Lights Camera Lashes leave them fluffy and soft. This makes a world of difference in terms of like how it feels on the eyes, because we wear mascara all day, those of us who do. The second use for me, it's a primer. I'm blessed with light, non-curvy, my eyelashes kind of like sticking in all directions, and short, not very dense eyelashes. Basically, they're almost like virtual, like they're there, maybe, kind of, I'm not sure. So I always need to apply at least several coats, and I always want the first coat to be something that coats them but doesn't stick the lashes together, because otherwise it will seem like I have even fewer than I do. This is a perfect primer. First of all, it's a black mascara. I hate white primers. I can never fully coat them later on, and I always end up with some kind of a gray, weird looking lashes. So this is the perfect eyelash primer before I apply some super dramatic, sticky, false lash effect mascara on top of it. And the third use is if you just want a little bit more drama for the evening, you apply like 1 or 2 coats in the morning, and in the evening it's beautiful for layering. You can actually apply more of it, 3, 4, 5 coats if you need later on. For that one, it's like, to me, it's again golden standard of mascaras, worth every penny, but wait for a sale. Usually this one, every once in a while, you can find it on sale in Ulta, TarteCosmetics.com, and other places for half off. For like $12 to $16, this is, in my not so humble opinion, is the best on the market. Golden standard for sure. Quick break and we'll continue. I just don't want to overwhelm you with information. So if you found even like a bit of this video useful or entertaining, please let me know in the comments below. Also, please tell me if you have any complimentary recommendations of your own that you would like to share, because I'm always on the lookout for the best of the best of the best, just like all of us. Yeah, so I'm gonna take a quick break and we'll continue. I'll tell you more about perfumes, more about skincare, more about all the tried and true, the absolute best things that I can't stop talking about. These are the kind of favorites that I recommend to my family, to my friends, to the friends of friends, to like anyone who is willing to listen.